Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast and Team Building Tips with Dan Talbot. We'll be right back with Dan, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Team Building Tips with Dan Talbot. For new listeners, Dan's a certified master athletic administrator. He's the senior director of athletics for the Polk County school system here in Florida. Longtime athletic director, active at the state and the national level. And his series, Team Building Tips on the Educational AD Podcast, has been very, very popular. So, Dan, we're at episode 13. What do you have for our listeners today?
Well, lucky 13. So, I really want to reflect on an experience that I just recently went through. Um, so this past week, last Friday, we had our big professional development day, where we had about 300 physical education teachers and coaches. Basically, it was our contact day because teachers are back work, students start tomorrow. So it was our big contact day for professional development. And, Monday night, I went down with an illness, which was difficult for me. So like Tuesday and Wednesday were just a blur, but the whole time you're sick, I'm thinking about Friday. I was like, man, we got 300, PE teachers and coaches coming and, worried about how that day is going to go. And, but I was down and out. I mean, I don't remember Tuesday or Wednesday. And it was one of those things where, you're dealing with, well, we think it's COVID. Well, unfortunately, in my case, I don't know what I had. They're still running every test in America. I know I've been, COVID tested more times than anything. And I try to tell them, COVID didn't hit Florida and I was negative for COVID. But the thing is, today's tip is trust the people that you hire. And I was nervous because I have a brand new person that's over physical education and driver's education for me within the district. And I also have a new, assistant county athletic director that's brand new as well, and she's transitioning from her old high school into this role. And basically, Wednesday was her first official day on the clock, and we had this big meeting on Friday, and I was extremely nervous of how it was going to go, because I obviously didn't want to fail because you have superintendents coming around, you have school board members checking out meetings and how's it going. And I just laid there as I was worried to death. But all through the text messages, like, you stay home. We have this. This is why you hired us. You take care of yourself. We'll make sure that goes off. And so about Thursday night, I started to feel a little bit better where I could possibly, show up on Friday. But then, I told myself, I'm just going to stay away because they did all the legwork on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get everything organized and prepared and lined up for that moment on Friday. And I didn't want to walk in and be like, hey, here I am. And I tell you what, to release that control and have faith in the people that you hire and know that they're going to get the job done, just knows the fact that, they have gained my respect and trust, not only because I hired them for a reason, but to know that our biggest day for the school year, when teachers come back, went off without a hitch. It was great. We've heard nothing but great comments, and the fact that I could be at home recovering and having my two assistants take care of that and my secretary, it was such a great feeling. Friday afternoon and Saturday, I even got a call from the superintendent who said he goes, it was unbelievable. He couldn't, believe what a great job that, our presentations were doing. We had, speakers coming. It's almost like a mini clinic with 300, physical education teachers and coaches in there. And we're trying to, intermix because there's so many moving parts because you have elementary PE teachers that are separate and need a different kind of care than maybe your high school physical education and coaches need as well. So it was different. So the fact that, it took a lot for me because like I'm any other guy, we like to control things and, we spend most of our time trying to, worrying about the things we can't control. But the fact that I just sat back and said, it is what it is. And that's why I hired him. And just to know that I let that control go and it all worked out is you'll be amazed of when you're not breathing over your assistants or your staff and you give them that leeway to go out and take something and run with it and be a leader on a project, great things can happen.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking before we started recording, and it is that double-edged sword. You care about your program, and you don't want someone in that new position to feel overwhelmed or even abandoned. But then it's such great pride and satisfaction when you see those individuals that you did hire go out and knock it out of the park like they did. And it comes back, not, and it's not why you do it, but it's a reflection on you and your skills as a leader to give those people that opportunity. So
Yeah, and I wanted Friday to be their day to shine because, they did. I mean, there was obviously I was involved in the planning of it and in the stages, and have run a million of these before every day. But to have them step up and say, quit texting us, we got this, you get better. And then to hear all the compliments on how well they did, and my secretary, and it was just a refreshing feeling. But it's one of those things, because anytime, I mean, we're typical alpha males and guys, and we're typical athletic directors. When our name's on something, we take a lot of pride in to make sure it goes well. But for me to, and I won't necessarily call it eating humble pie, but the fact that they took it, they ran with it, they got it done, and it was great. You know, doesn't make me feel like I'm, worthless or, not doing my part per se, but the fact that, you entrust the people you hire to assist you, and then they can take it and lead with it is because it not only benefits you that, you can trust them and you can go away, because athletic directors, I tell this to people all the time. It's, one of the biggest difficulties about being athletics is we don't get a day off. I mean, if there's a sporting event somewhere, we're on call 24/7. And the fact that, if I can go somewhere and when they say we got it, I know that they do. So it was a blessing for me. And I'm thankful for, Courtney Windemaker and Tiffany Kitchens and Debbie Beasley, because of the work they've done and, made my life a lot easier. And I know, because I can let go now and then start worrying about some other things. So it was great.
No, and I was going to mention that the anxiety that is there because you're not there is dissipated every single time your staff goes out and does that great job. You've got a commitment. You can't be there for whatever reason, illness or maybe something else. Hey, you guys got this, and it's not anxiety. It's the opposite. It's relief because your
Well,
team.
it's that, because everybody knows, like, herding ADs is like herding cats, and and when the cat's away, the mice will play. But I've heard nothing but good things, and so it was a learnful lesson for me myself personally, that one, I hired the right people, and two, it's okay to have them take something and run with it. Now, in this situation, yes, it turned out great. It turned out perfect. But, at the end of the day, I thought about it. Even if it didn't, it's still okay.
Right.
Because, you can sit there and use it as a life lesson, as, okay, well, what should we have done better? What was, where was the planning falling at? Where did it fall short at? Where are some things we can improve? And you can still turn it into a life lesson. So it's okay that, even though, yeah, it turned out great for me and my staff, but, it's still okay if it didn't. And that I think that's the important thing is, let your staff run and let them succeed and let them fail. Because it's just like a head football coach. Why would any football coach hire any coach on a staff that doesn't want to inspire to be a head coach? I mean, you want those. That's the type of people you want working with you.
No, absolutely. Great point. For our listeners, if you're new to the program, Dan's the senior athletic administrator for Polk County Schools here in Florida, supervises multiple schools and athletic programs, very active again at the state and national level. Dan, if one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain, find out a little bit more about some leadership things that you guys do, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is by my personal cell phone, because I try to very rarely be in the office. My personal cell phone number is 863-661-0647. Again, 863-661-0647.
All right. Well, again, listeners, I encourage you to reach out and pick Dan's brain a little bit. You'll be better for it. We're recording this on August 9th, the second week of sports in the state of Florida. So you're hearing this very timely. Just a reminder, the Zoom recordings of all these interviews get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back next week for another team building tip, and just about every day for the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next week. We had some internet issues going into that episode, so we didn't get to do our commercial shout-outs. Want to do them real quickly. Our sponsors are all quality companies that I have used, or I've spoken with athletic directors around the country that they have used. These are not just throwaway sponsorships. These are partnerships with people that I've used, and I encourage you to check them out. Let's go and start with Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com and find out how they can help you, your coaches, and your program. Also want to say thanks to Gipper. Athletic directors and coaches are using Gipper's platform to create world-class marketing content for their school social media channels. We use it to announce our podcast episodes. The backdrop that you're looking at right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, that's a Gipper template. Go to Gipper.com and see how they can help you. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. Also want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At the schools I was at, we used surveys for just about everything. Teachers, coaches, parents, kids, you name it. And the feedback was almost always overwhelmingly positive, and I'm sure it'll be for you. But at the same time, it allowed that squeaky wheel parent to vent, and also helped me find some small issues that helped keep them from becoming big issues because I didn't know about it because we didn't use the survey. Go to athleticsurveys.com and see what they can do for you and your program. Also want to thank Hometown Ticketing. I never got a chance to use Hometown because digital ticketing was just starting as I was retiring, but I have talked to hundreds of athletic directors around the country, and they all swear by the Hometown Ticketing platform. The customer support, all the things that it can do beyond athletics. Go to hometownticketing.com, see what they can do for you. Also want to thank Final Forms. The FIAAA uses Final Forms as our platform for our conference registration and can help you, your coaches, and your stakeholders. Go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. Also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. They offer digital touch screens to allow you to recognize the athletic achievements of your students. It can be a record board, it can be a Hall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com for more information. Also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor scoring tables and video boards. Our school is one of the first in Florida to have a Sideline Interactive digital scoring table, and it was just fantastic. We use it for games, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Tremendously versatile tool, and it'll work for you. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and see what they can do for you and your school. Also want to thank SnapRaise. Go to snapraise.com and find out the SnapRaise fundraising difference. Our coaches use SnapRaise, and they just loved it. It was easy. There's no upfront cost, and it worked. Go to snapraise.com and check out the thousands and thousands of dollars that they have raised for other programs, and they can do the same thing for you. That's snapraise.com. Thanks again for listening to Team Building Tips. We'll see you next week and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast.